The goal is simple. Gather every block and then make a building that uses every single one. It can use a block more than once, but it has to use all of them. We're at the supercharged creeper station and we're going to put it just on the other side on the mainland. I've given some thought to it already, how it should look. It will have a lower level, so that's how we had to start, but I think I really just like digging holes. Now we can settle in on getting all of the stuff, although looking at this, I think it would look better if it were more centered on the island. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, so I've knocked out a ton of the basic ones, and I've organized them by block type, so none of these are that crazy yet. I think organizing at least these ones this way will help us out when it comes to putting this thing together, because then we can randomly pick from the block type, and then we can actually have some sort of design. Out of laziness, I believe we actually already have all of the ore. Oh, poop. Yeah, we'll need emeralds, and then netherite too. Well, that took zero time. Now for the harder one. I can see how this is going to be a problem. So I can't strip mine through this, and I'm not even sure they spawn in this because this is technically a deep dark biome. It's no longer a mountain biome. So we're going to need to leave, and also I'm terrified of the warden. So guys, this is probably the hardest block in the game to get. Every time I get a biome, I search it, I get down there, and then find out that it's deep dark or lush caves, which don't technically count as mountains, so they wouldn't have emeralds. And then you can only find them 0 to -16. So if there's like a lush cave down there, you're just out of luck. You have to leave and then find a new place. I found every ore again while doing this, but eventually we got it. We got not one, but two. If I accidentally fortune this, we're scrapping the video. We are doing great at getting the nature blocks right now. I have discovered how little I know about Minecraft plants, but I've also had the realization that we are going to need to get the sniffer, and I would like to procrastinate doing that. So we're going to just move on to the colored blocks for now and come back to the plants in a bit. And I think that this starts with sheep, so I could dye the wool after, but we'll actually need a ton of wool. So we'll need it for banners, for beds, for carpet, and then for extra wool blocks. So I think it makes the most sense to just get a bunch of sheep going. And this is the perfect spot. We have flat land. We have a giant slime that I need to move a couple thousand blocks. We've really got it all. Except sheep. Yeah, we're going to have to find some of those. Just like that, we've 16 colored sheep group things. And also the skeleton duel machine building. But yeah, this is probably the worst part, I imagine. Now it's just going to be dyeing a bunch of stuff. You know what I hadn't thought about at all? This is going great, but we're going to need to get shulkers. Like 17 of them. 16 colors and then one without color. And we don't have a shulker farm, so we're going to the end. That was really confusing. I forgot I pushed a pigman down here like a week ago, so that was what that was. Anyway. While I'm here, I did want another beacon. I'm cheesing this and it's still taking too long. So, mob heads. We actually have most of them already just from various things that we've already done. But we do not have the piglin one yet. So we do coincidentally have the perfect setup for it with the wither farm. So just instead of bringing a wither down to get this goal, we'll just bring over a piglin instead. Oh. I don't know how that one got in here. There we are. I went to the silverfish spawner and tried to get them to crawl into blocks so that I could silk touch them, only to realize that this is actually only a creative block. And I guess that's a little bit of a problem. So, we'll get these ones. Okay, so I just dropped an anvil a bunch of times so it would become chipped. I'm not sure you'd be able to tell otherwise, though. Back from mining, and I gotta say, this is a beautiful block and all, but it's got nothing on the Deep Slate Emerald. And we even got an extra one, which is perfect, because I died off camera last episode and lost my shovel, couldn't find it, but yeah, can replace that now, too. Okay, we got all the functional blocks, colored blocks, and building blocks, and so that just leaves redstone, which we basically have in a shulker, and then sucking it up and getting the sniffer, as well as coral blocks. So sniffers are cool and all, but on an old world, it's a ton of travel. Coral Reef, here we are. They're so cool. I hate the idea of tearing this thing up, but we are bringing it back to replant, so I guess that's how I'm justifying it. Don't mind me as I casually sleep on the ocean floor. Guys, this coral reef has been so good to us. I think we'll want one more just for breeding, but man. Okay, this is what we got. A bunch of junk, shards that I don't understand now, but we'll probably care about later. Coral reef stuff. Oh, and 2 gorgeous eggs. Okay, so outside of waiting for these to grow up, we are actually done gathering stuff. So I will still need to move most of the stuff on the left, but this is how it'll work. So we'll use dispensers, and that will randomly spit out our blocks. And then so we have that organized by type, and then we can just go ahead, fill up, and start building. All right, let's get started. You know, I probably should have seen that one coming. I was going to make a time lapse out of this, but I cannot believe how long it's taking. When you have to refill your inventory every 30 seconds, it really extends the process. And then on top of that, I keep changing my mind on the form of this thing, but here you can see we have a start. This thing keeps freaking out, but if you mine them and then place them, it won't actually summon the warden anymore. So that's good, very important for our build. Okay, so we've made quite a bit of progress. I have this front done. I think we're going with like a Greek temple / government building look. It seems appropriate for something that has every single block. We'll have to see how it looks from back here. So get back to our spot here. And yeah, that looks horrible. Yeah, I can't tell what's going on. I think we're gonna add a little bit more definition. All right, I added deep slate, and I think that'll help outline what's going on so we can make sense of it from afar. This seemed like a good spot for our banners, and we needed to use the stairs yet, especially since we're no longer using them with the deep slate on the triangle. So we have these columns that come down, and then we can also use more fences and gates. We've gotten a lot more progress building things up around here, and I have to say, there's a lot more thought in the block placement than I would have guessed. So first off, we have to use beds wherever we would use half slabs so that the height looks right. And then we need to make sure bushes are opposite of walls so they don't like pop out the corners. Yeah, I don't like that look. And then we have to make sure doors have the vertical space, and we have to make sure like the nether grass doesn't get smothered. And so it's on the top here because we'll have glass over this. But yeah, a lot more consideration than I thought. And this wraps things up. We have like all of the blocks here, and we're ready to move on to the other parts of the build. A smarter YouTuber probably would have waited to do the dome last, but that is definitely not me. But yeah, this looks sick. So onto the bottom area, and that's where we're going to put all of the remaining blocks. We have a path cleared down here, and this thing is naturally divided into 4 quadrants. So we've got some hidden lighting all around, and we also have some not so hidden lighting. But down here, we'll go the plants, the nether plants, coral reef stuff, redstone, desert plants, and ore blocks. So that is 6 things and 4 quadrants. So a little bit needs to get figured out yet, but this is where it will all go down. All right, let's check this thing out. So we have our plants. I cannot believe how many of these there are. Then we have the coral reef area. Let's see if we can find some of the pufferfish. Ah, there he is, alive and well. Then we have the dead coral blocks to start the desert area. And since there's not actually that much desert stuff, I put the nether and in stuff here too. And then last but not least, we have all of the ores and an abandoned mine shaft just for fun. And then the redstone. I could not resist the irony of putting the redstone stuff underwater. So we are just under everything here. And I like the way that the conduit actually works being down here. And I have to say, me not accidentally setting off TNT while putting the redstone stuff down here was probably a miracle. But yeah, and then we have this barrel here. So I'm going to store each sapling in here. So this place will actually have a function. It's like a library. I can always come back out, get a sapling, get some wood, and then return at least a couple sapling. And I'll always know where to go back to. I'm going to plant trees around the border just to finish this thing off. And then, wow, this is going to be a lot of cleanup.